All right. Today on Good Times, Bad Friends, we're sitting down with someone who has lived through the kind of story that forces you to rethink what actually matters. Ben Lawson is a husband, a father, a coach, a guy who's built his life around discipline, strength, and leading from the front. He served our country in the army, deployed overseas, and came back with a mindset that most people spend a lifetime trying to build. But what's crazy is the hardest battle he ever faced wasn't on deployment. It was when everything he thought he controlled, his body, his strength, his future, got flipped upside down with a leukemia diagnosis. And when you're a guy whose identity is built on being strong, what happens when that strength gets taken from you? And that's what we're talking about today. We're going to talk about identity, what real strength actually looks like, about leading your family well when life doesn't go according to plan, and what it means to rebuild when everything gets stripped away. So, whether you're a dad, a coach, a competitor, or just someone trying to figure out who you are outside of what you do, this episode is for you. If you've been rocking with us or it's your first time here, make sure that you go follow the show, subscribe. It's free. And share this episode with the friends. We think it's going to be a really good one. So, Ben, welcome to the podcast.
I was like,
Dude,
man, I need to bring you with me everywhere with that kind of introduction. And then at the very end,
I know you're just like, man, can I get that just walking into the grocery store?
it's
No,
cool.
actually,
I
talking
edit
about
this, so no.
yeah, I was going to say, talking about according to plan, we were one word, more specifically, like your name, your complete identity. We were one word away from Colin actually doing that for like the first time in the first take,
Crushing
like
it.
flawlessly. So
Never
I
happened
mean,
before.
that's a solid start so far. So if that's
Yeah, it's
any
good.
kind of foreshadowing about calling each other the wrong name, I mean, if that's the worst thing that happens, but
Yeah.
no, man, it's kind of, I think it's what we were joking about before we started, but dude, thanks for coming on. Like, I get super lucky, and I can honestly thank Instagram because it suggests people for me to follow, and like I get on a tangent to where it's either like Shane Gillis or it's like people that tell me that my lifestyle sucks and I need to be motivated. So like you're one of those guys that popped up. So just tell us a little bit about your story. I mean, I kind of just stalked your profile for like 5 minutes and I sent you a message and went on a limb and you were like, yeah, dude, absolutely. And we've been talking ever since, but just kind of take us back, man. Like, honestly, this is us kind of discovering who you are in real time. So just kind of tell us your story. Start from as far back as you want. Like, what shaped you, what guided you to where you are and kind of developed you into the man you are today.
Yeah. I mean, I was born January 9th. No, I'm just kidding. Basically, I'm from like a really small town. I had really great parents. So I kind of grew up in the country and just having a father who was a military guy. He was a Army Ranger. He wouldn't hesitate to tell you he's an airborne ranger. So just kind of leadership was instilled at a young age, which was really cool. And then, yeah, just ended up joining the military, just kind of leading his example. My intent was never to stay in. It was just to kind of get some life experience. And also, I didn't want to take out any student loans for college. So I was like, Army it is. Let's go. And I signed up to be a human resource specialist, which sounds about as boring as it was. But luckily, I was able to get chosen to be a driver on a PSD team, which is a personal security detail in Afghanistan. So I was supposed to go to Kuwait, which is like a chill, laid back deployment. They have like chilies there. They're just chill. They have pools. We're like, all right, you guys are just hanging out. But last minute, they're like, hey, we're going to choose you to go to Afghanistan. So went to Kabul and got to go to Bagram and drive around and drive really important people around in civilian vehicles. It was a lot of fun. Came back. And then I got chosen to be a U.S. Army combatives instructor, which was really, really cool opportunity because I had some experience before just because I loved MMA. And that's kind of what got me into fitness in the first place. And then, yeah, just started to roll with that, got out of the military and started doing coaching. The first weekend I did coaching, I think I launched, my website and launched it on social media and made like $150. And I was like, I'm going to do this forever. This is the best thing of all time. I just made that money from nothing. This rules. And never looked back except for a couple times. I did look back, which was very tough, but yeah. And then in the midst there, just, now I have 3 kids, had one when I was in the military. My older 2, I split time with, they're moms today. And then we just had one 9 months ago, me and my wife. And
Congrats.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
It's been really cool. And then, yeah, battled cancer in the middle there. So yeah, there's that.
Yeah, because there's just so many steps. Like, so the thing I like to focus on is I think a lot of people have parents that went down a certain avenue and they almost try to like turn the other way on purpose. So start there with like, what was the moment where like, did you fight that urge at all? Like your dad, like, and listen, I play Call of Duty. That's about the extent of my knowledge. Like if you talk about ranks and all the acronyms and everything, but like, to me, like from what I've heard, a ranger is kind of a big deal, and it's like that's awesome that he's proud of it. But what was that moment when you were finally like, okay, like I kind of want to chase that avenue? I know you're kind of joking around about not paying for college, but like, was there anything that you saw through your dad that you're like, okay, maybe that'll give me those character traits or anything like that? Like, what kind of turned your path to actually want to follow what he did?
Yeah, I guess I naturally always just kind of always respected anyone in the military, respected the country, love America. And even at like a young age, like me and my friends, we would play army. We'd run around with fake guns and Nerf guns and airsoft guns and do all that. And I always was kind of like I don't know what it was. I just had this mentality where I knew I could do hard things. I don't know where that came from exactly. I know my dad talked a lot about times where he would be doing hard things and times he was in ranger school and when he worked really hard. And so it kind of paid off on me. It developed first in sports. That's I guess that's a big part of it. Like to be honest, I was terrible at basketball. Terrible at basketball. And, I would just hear my dad talk about how hard he worked to get good at things, and so I was like, "All right, well, I hate riding the bench." I would maybe play 30 seconds a game in, like, 7th grade, and I was like, "This is not what I'm supposed to be doing." So, I would just, work really hard. I would get home from games, it would be icy driveways, I would shovel the snow off and just shoot hoops for, like, 2 hours when I got home. Um, and then it just developed into just this crazy obsession. And then by the time I was a senior, I was like team captain and like, started. And so that's kind of where that work ethic, I guess, kind of started with sports. And of course, my dad's example. And then, yeah, it just kind of blossomed from there. And I just knew, I guess in that sense, military did kind of call to me because I knew it was something I could do, I would be good at. Um, and yeah, I just went for it.
No, that's really cool. And so you mentioned, or the growing up, obviously your dad was in the military. Similarly, my dad was
Mhm.
in the Air Force, but not quite as long. And I didn't join the military. I'm interested to hear more about like how did having a military dad who was in the military for much longer, like how did that impact your discipline growing up?
Yeah, so my dad actually he was out by the time I was born. He was older. I was his last kid by far. He had 5 kids and he was later in life. He actually got out of active duty after I believe 6 years and then he got a job at General Motors and then he joined the Army Reserves. He found a Ranger regiment in Michigan, a Ranger unit, I should say, in Michigan that did reserves. And so he joined them, and I think he did that for 10 or 15 years. I can't remember, but he was out of it by the time I was born, and he was already retired from General Motors as well. So he had a body shop, so he just worked from home out of just this huge garage we had. So yeah, I would see him working every day pretty much from that. But he would just tell us the stories of the military, and of course, the discipline was there. Like, he'd come in the room, check your hospital corners on the bed and make sure
Yeah.
everything was nice and tidy and all that. So yeah.
No, and so you started coaching, you were in the military, but you also talked about how you were kind of like, as a kid, you were going to work hard to be good at whatever you do. So did you like see yourself as a leader growing up in like school and the activities that you were in, or is that something that you developed with your dad as you went, post high school into the military and stuff like that?
I would say so I saw my dad in different leadership roles starting from when I was in like youth baseball. He was like a leadership role in that organization and even in church. But one thing I noticed about my dad is he was never like a standout guy. Like he would talk your ear off, but he was very much a lead by example. And so I think I naturally developed that. And so I was never like I'm a leader. I was just kind of like, I'm going to work really hard. I'm going to do my thing over here. Like if you want to do it, like I'll be over here working hard. And so that's kind of just how I've developed, I guess, in a sense, as a leader. Just the main thing is lead by example. I post a lot on Instagram, especially with my kids. Like I don't ask them to come on runs, workouts. They're the ones who ask me because they see me doing it every day.
That's
So that's
cool.
how I believe is
Yeah.
the best way to lead.
Well, especially like when you see your qualities that early, like me and Colin, man, if we could just clone you and get you to go to high school right now, like we would stay in coaching for so much longer. But like the people that are able to find those qualities and develop those qualities early, generally are the people that, even though they may not know their way, at least they possess those traits to where they can lead people down whatever avenue they choose. So I think for you being able to figure that out at an early age, like that's the secret sauce to our job right now is how can I tell the 16-year-old to figure it out and start being a knucklehead a little bit quicker than when I figured it out. So for you to
Yeah.
already have those traits, that's very rare in today's world. And I'm sure you know that. And like I would love to kind of dig a little bit more into like your army experience itself. But at that point, like when you graduate high school, like you see leadership done the right way through your dad and everything, like you have a great example. What's kind of your identity at that point before there's a major shift? Because like I feel like everybody gets this peak moment of I'm about to graduate high school, and then all of a sudden, like a new set of problems head your way. So, like, how did you feel about your identity before you actually went into the army, and how was it kind of developed from there? You can kind of lead into your story about what you did within the army too.
Yeah, so I had no intent of joining the army. I didn't fully know what I wanted to do. I just was like kind of like I'll figure it out, which I think is an underrated thing these days. I think there's something to that because it's like if I would have decided what I wanted to do when I was, 16, 17 years old, like who knows where I'd be right now, but I actually did a 2-year mission for my church right after high school. And so that also taught me a lot of great qualities and a different work ethic. Like I was never a party kid. I was a knucklehead here and there, but I was a pretty respectful kid, just because I had, that example and from both my mom and dad and, just being active in church and in different people around me. And, yeah, so I did a 2-year mission for my church, learned Spanish, which was really cool.
Hmm.
Came home and that's when I was like, all right, now I'll start college. I'm on to this next phase. And then, right away, that's when I was like starting to fill out applications and for loans. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do all this. And then that's when I started talking to my dad seriously about the military and going that route. And to this day, I'm a college dropout. So maybe it wasn't the right move, but who knows?
No, that's like because, and I think that's been a huge perspective shift for most people. It's like it used to be just like a socially accepted or kind of an
Hmm.
expectation. It's like, oh, well, where are you going to college? And then now it's like, dude, forget that because like I'm sitting here in $60,000
Yeah.
in debt, and if there was any other way to go be a teacher and be poor for the rest of my life, I would have done it. Like I'm already poor for the rest
Yeah.
of my life, and then now I'm having to pay back all these student loans. So like for me, it's just like I tell so many people, and luckily the place I teach at, like we have a lot of those guys that are like, they're going to have a dip in their mouth and they're going to be welding for the rest of their life and they're going to make a freaking crap ton of money. And that's okay because there's just different ways for people to find success through different avenues. So like for you,
Yeah.
like when you flip that switch and then ultimately like how do you decide to go into the military and then just kind of work your way through that? Because like once again, I don't know much. I wear my watch in a really cool way just because I was getting blisters and I'm kind of a baby. Like the military for me is only what I see on video games and stuff like that. So like take us through that journey because I feel like if I were to come back and redo a second life because I am in like the realm of football and it's compared to soldiers and war and all kinds of stuff, which is the stupidest comparison in the world because people that actually do it, like it's just like holy cow. So like take us through that because I'm fascinated about that world because there are some parallels, but like there's no way I'd ever go do stuff like that. So just kind of take us through that part of your life too.
Yeah. So it's, like I said, I just kind of decided it was kind of a backup plan in the back of my mind and it was just eating at me. And finally I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go. My dad was like, just go talk to a recruiter. And sure enough, went and talked to a recruiter and then, it was kind of history. Um, but then going in, I was a little bit older than most people when they first joined and enlisted. Most guys in there were, 18, 19. And since I had done the 2-year mission and kind of had a year stall there, I turned 22. No, yeah, I turned 22 like the day after I went into basic training. And basically, yeah, you just start off. Basic training is pretty much the same for everyone. It's getting yelled at, making, you're doing push-ups. Someone messes up, you're doing push-ups. No, it doesn't matter. And it was just kind of one of those things where I was in good shape. So I actually had started working as a personal trainer before I joined. I did that for a little bit at Gold's Gym. And I was pretty fit, and obviously sports background. And so going in, it wasn't physically that hard. I actually like lost a lot of muscle mass being in basic training.
Whoa.
I lost a bunch of weight, but it's just one of those things where you realize very quickly it's just all mental. Like they're just trying to mentally break you down. Like you can only do so many push-ups and then your body just breaks down. That's what they're trying to do. So it's like just do as many as you can and you're gonna just fall and it's fine. You'll be okay. You just got to mentally just push through stuff like that. And then yeah, well after basic went to the advanced individual training and then got sent to Fort Knox in a really interesting unit that was like really brass heavy, a lot of there was a general in our unit. And so got to rub shoulders with a lot of, lieutenant colonels and majors and colonels and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and then so my dad was in the Navy, and then we had a cousin who went over during after 9/11 who didn't make it back home. So like the military like is really big in our family, and we just first want to like just thank you for your service. And I know you kind of
Mhm.
like downplayed it a little bit, but it's not a downplay. We don't deserve the life we have, but we get it because of people like you. So one, thank
Yeah, I
you for that.
appreciate you saying that. And sorry to hear
Yeah.
about the loss in your family. That's
Yeah,
tough.
man. We do off topic, but we do like this like Freedom Fest every year. So like the people in the Dallas area that are home from their deployment, we try to like get them all together and just have like a weekend where they get to like get together, share their stories, and just kind of be
Yeah.
themselves. So it's really cool just to go like hear their stories and you know get to see their point of view about things you can and can't talk about,
Yeah.
both like emotionally and legally. So it's a lot of cool stories that go
Yeah.
on. But from you going through that, and then life hits you with something like you didn't plan for. So military was your backup. You had all these plans, and then you get hit with this diagnosis. So um, if as much as you feel comfortable, walk us through the moment where you had your life laid out to this point, and then you get hit with that.
You're talking about cancer, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The
Okay.
leukemia. Yeah, yeah.
um, so basically, I had gotten out of the military and I was just working as a coach. And actually, I was living in Florida in Panama City Beach. And got linked up with some friends at the time and was working with them. And I was competing in bodybuilding. Like I was, 230 pounds, big muscular dude. And randomly just kind of started feeling sick and didn't know what it was. Just felt like some weird inflammation was going on. My eye wouldn't stop watering, had a sore throat. Went to the doctor a couple times. They didn't know what it was. And finally, mind you, this is in March of 2020. So global pandemic's just
Mm.
kicking off. Last thing I want to do is go hang out in ERs. But finally, I'm like, all right, something's really wrong. One night I just couldn't sleep and just felt really off. I had picked something up heavy that day, set on my legs. I had bruising all over my legs. And I was like, this isn't normal. Like something's off. So ended up going to the ER in the next morning, walked in, my own 2 feet, and they started doing all these tests. And I was just sitting there waiting for the test to be complete. And one of the nurses was actually someone who went to my gym. So I like kind of knew her from the gym. And she came in and was like, "Hey, it's really good you came in today. Your white blood count's really high." Don't know what that means.
Same.
Hopefully,
Oh,
yeah, right. Like, hopefully they got some good meds for it and I can be on my way. I'll be home soon. Then the ER doctor comes in and hits me with, "Hey, man, like, just so you know, your white blood count should be at 10,000. Yours is at 362,000. So
Whoa.
you have acute myeloid leukemia and we have to fly you to a cancer center immediately to start chemo." And I'm just
Wow.
like, I just kind of like sat there for a second. I was like, "Oh, what do you mean? Like, what is, I don't understand. I don't even know what leukemia is at this time." Like, and, he just explained it's blood cancer. Come to find out 362 is extremely high. Most people are like, usually, you die at that point. You don't just like walk in. So I attribute
Wow.
being in really good physical shape as to why I lived. I was like basically in the middle of having a stroke. Didn't know that yet. Just felt kind of like I had a sore throat. So it was always almost kind of like, "Why are you here today?" It's like, "My throat hurts and I feel weird." It's like,
Yeah.
okay. And then,
That's so
turns
crazy.
out to be a life altering diagnosis. And so they flew
Yeah.
me a couple hours away to the University of Florida to Shands Cancer Center. And I started chemo that night. In the first round of chemo, it's like really rough. They explain like, "Hey, you're going to lose
Mm.
your hair. You're going to lose your sense of taste. You're probably going to lose part of your eyesight for a little while." And all of those things did happen. It was really hard. My lymph node actually got swollen up like really huge one morning. So they removed it. I have a big scar on my neck. And then I was just kind of in and out of the ICU just for all these like surgeries and the brain. I had a brain hemorrhage, which was, what I just mentioned earlier. I was, they're like, "If anything feels weird, let us know." And I'm like, "Everything's fine except I can't squeeze this hand." And they're like, "Let's get you imaged immediately." And yeah, sure enough, it was a brain hemorrhage. So just all these things kept happening, come in, and they're like, "Now this is happening. Now this is happening. Now this is happening." And finally, it was like my organs were just starting to shut down. My breathing, my oxygen saturation was dropping so low and my heart was damaged. They're just like, "We're going to have to intubate you." And so I'm just like, okay. And the crazy thing is before this, they had come in and told me like, if it comes to a point where you're unable to make a decision. Do you want us to resuscitate you? And I said no, because I was like, in my mind, I'm like, I don't want to turn into a vegetable and make, my loved ones make that decision.
That's tough.
And so
Yeah.
all of this stuff happens. And finally, it comes to the point where they're like, we're going to have to intubate you. And they're like, that document you signed earlier, it wasn't done properly. Do you want to redo it? And I was like, yes, I do want you to keep me alive. And so I got intubated and I was out for 3 days. And I woke up and it was like the craziest, like spring morning waking up, just like, what just happened? But it was finally like everything was calm again. Because before it was like crazy chaos, everything's happening, my
Yeah.
body shutting down. And then all of a sudden it was like, I woke up, I had lost about a little under 50 pounds.
Holy
Wow.
cow.
Yeah, in about a week and a half. And it was one of those crazy things where it was just like, oh, I'm gonna hop up and do this, and like you can't walk, like you don't understand how much strength and muscle mass you just lost. You can't do anything. And I'm like, oh, okay. So, I had to rehab, just getting up out of bed. That's where I started, and
Wow.
just basics of just moving and getting my grip strength back and my lung capacity back. And yeah, just worked my way back. And then after about a month, I was able to go home for a week, see my kids again, and then I had to go back for the next round of chemo.
Man. Well, at that
That's just
point,
round
just kind of
one.
like yeah,
That
like
was round 1. That was round
wow.
1, yeah.
And so
Luckily,
and
that was
so
the
at that
worst, so
oh, man. And then in that moment, do you remember thinking like I have another question after this one, but in that 3-day period where they like it's almost like you go to sleep and you wake up 3 days later, like, do you remember anything specifically from there? Like, were there any dreams? Were there any like
brother,
visions or anything that you remember?
craziest thing. So, when they put the intubation in, all of these machines are going on you, they're really loud. So I think what it was is subconsciously I was hearing these machines. I thought it was power tools. And for whatever reason, the only dreams I remember were terrifying clowns torturing me. I
No,
swear.
no. I didn't mean to
Like
laugh.
the
And
whole
I have
time?
I have zero fears of clowns. So I don't know where this came from, but I just remember hearing these machines, thinking they're like holding my face to like these spinning wheels and like doing all these crazy things.
Oh,
And it was
Dude, and the fact that you woke up happy after that, like you woke up with this peace that you've never
well, I
felt
woke up
before
and
after a
I was like, "I'm alive." I was like,
yeah.
The
yeah,
"Holy
clowns
cow, I'm
couldn't get
alive."
me.
Everything's calm
yeah.
after that. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
no
yeah, I'm
more
like,
clowns holding my head to a
Yeah.
buzzsaw.
"There's no more clowns in here trying to kill me?
Wow.
Perfect.
Well,
We're good."
coming,
What a
yeah,
day.
this is way better. Yeah,
Yeah.
what a 3-day experience out there. Well,
Boy, was that
coming
crazy.
from yeah, coming from someone who absolutely hates clowns, like that would just be an absolute nightmare. So
Yeah.
from there,
No
the
working.
question I did have is like through those moments, like, and that's just man, I literally cannot wrap my mind around the fact that you are perfectly healthy. You have a sore throat. You walk in, and all of a sudden, you're getting flown to the University of Florida. So, like,
Mhm.
things keep compound, like negative things continue to just kind of exponentially drive one step after another. Was there ever a point to where it's like, wow, like my mortality is in question? How did
Yep.
that feel? Like, obviously, like I think you characterize what it means to be a strong person physically, mentally, and emotionally, but everybody has a breaking point. Job had a breaking point. He was the most faithful
Yep.
guy in the world. It's like, where was that moment where you're like, man, is it ever going to stop? Like, how much worse is it going to, like, obviously, once again, with as comfortable as you are sharing, like, how bad did it get for you mentally of like, man, what is going on?
Yeah, so I guess first I'll go back to when I was deployed. So when I was deployed, I was, like I said, on a PSD team where I was driving Ford Excursions and then Toyota Land Cruisers out around Kabul in convoys and 3 vehicle convoys. And so I wasn't trained to do that. I just kind of got thrown into it. And one thing I started to realize is those missions were like a huge adrenaline rush. So it's kind of addicting, but it was also terrifying. And it was also like, okay, this could be it. This could be the one I get blown up on. So you just kind of
Wow.
accept and start to like be like, okay, this could be it. But like, if this is how I'm supposed to go, this is it. So I kind of already had that in me. So part of that's like maybe I was kind of prepared through that, but then when it came time for this, diagnosis, excuse me, and then going through all of that, it got to a point where it was like, I'm one who, like, obviously with all the health stuff and with all like the go-getter like kind of thing is like I want to be in control. I want to be in control of everything. And one thing that it taught me was you can't be in control of everything. Your health, like at a certain point in this case, like you just have to have faith that everything is going to work out how it's supposed to, whether it's, how you want it to or not. Like I just finally was like, here, like my life is in your hands. Whatever you have, in store for me, I accept it and I'm okay with it. So I finally just kind of mentally got okay with, what could happen. But before I was intubated, I did text my loved ones goodbye because I was like, I'm not going to wake up from this because of how everything was going there. I was like, there's no way I'm going to do what I can, but there's just a certain point where it's like everything is just bad news, bad news, bad news. Like this is real. It got real, real fast, and it was like I don't know if I'm going to pull through, but I did.
We're glad you're here, Ben. We're glad that you
Thank you,
pulled through.
appreciate it.
It's got to be such a humbling moment when like your mortality goes from like, okay, I can work out, I can control it, I can do X, Y, Z, and I'm going to live longer. And then all of a sudden, like you said, all that's stripped away. And the only thing left is faith. And you mentioned earlier that you went on a mission trip. So we can
Mhm.
assume you have a pretty strong faith base. As you're going through that, is there a time where like you pulled back, you pulled away and your faith was challenged? Or is faith what kept you going? Like what role did faith play?
No, it was more so just like I've obviously never prayed harder in my life. It's that saying like you never met an atheist in a foxhole. Like that's how it felt. Like I was like, hey, maybe I haven't been the best. Maybe I haven't prayed like I should have been, but whatever you have in store, like, because at this time I also have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. So that was the hardest part is like me not making it, but them growing up without a father is what was just like, man,
Can't
like
happen.
that's hard. So that's what I was praying for most, and luckily I'm still here. So
Yeah, and so let's go. So you survive cancer, you beat cancer, and now we're on to the next point. So now we're understanding like surviving isn't the same thing as just living. So now we're in the next chapter of life. So what did your goals look like after battling, surviving, and defeating cancer? What did your life goals look at professionally, personally, all stuff like that?
yeah, so one thing that's really cool is I talk a lot about a lot of times when people come to me and ask me who maybe they're going through a cancer diagnosis or going through something really hard. One thing I always tell them is they need to make a hard goal. Because if you have a hard goal, even when it feels like it's impossible to accomplish, you mentally are going to work harder for it and it's going to keep you alive.
Hmm.
So right away, when I was in that first week of being like basically just dying, I made the goal that I was going to compete in bodybuilding again, which is like impossible, in that sense of just being there, like dying. But I was like, I'm going to get on stage again and I'm going to make it through. That kind of helped me fight through. And even like, you can look back at, there's a lot of footage of me working out in the hospital or the whole time through chemo. I, was working out. People are always like, when did you start working out again after chemo? I'm like, I never stopped. What are you talking about? So just having a hard goal like that, I think is super important. And it helped me to not, act like a cancer patient or treat myself like a cancer patient. I was like, no, I'm a normal person. And mentally, I think that really pulled me through. So that was the biggest one, was compete in a bodybuilding show after being diagnosed. And I did it 2 years after I was diagnosed,
Wow.
about
Dang.
18 months after a bone marrow transplant. So that was pretty difficult. And I was able to link up with someone who made a short documentary about it, who also had a cancer battle as well and had a bone marrow transplant on the same day as me. Justin, he's
Wow.
awesome. So
Whoa.
we shot that. It's called Stronger Than the Storm. Hopefully soon we'll have it up somewhere to
That's
see.
cool.
But that
Yeah.
was really cool. And then, part of it was just, I actually went through a divorce not long after battling, which was tough. But just refocusing on just being a dad and fitness and health and the important things was really cool. And then I was able to meet my wife. And so, then, we made the goal to get married and have more kids. And so we're working on that now. And then of course, I just grew coaching a lot since then. And I actually stepped away from online coaching about a year and a half ago and just got into real estate. I worked for a builder, sold some homes. It was cool for a little while, but something about just coaching, it called me back. So
Yeah.
here I am. And I kind of refocused, reshaped it towards, dads and parents. And it's been really awesome. It's been really awesome to do and to grow now. And now my
Yeah.
newest goal is a marathon. I always said I
Oh.
would never do one. I always said it was just dumb. Why would you run that long? And then I realized I was just scared of it, and so I was like, I need to do it now. So that's
Well, I
my
feel
newest
like
one.
Yeah, I feel like the things that you used to look at is like, man, that's such a waste of time. It's like, okay, well, now I have the time to be able to do that. So that's what I was going to kind of ask you is like, what does strength look like to you now, like on a daily basis? If someone were to watch you, like less complaining, like me, I see marathons as absolutely just punishment, like absolute punishment. But I feel like if you get a certain perspective change, it's like, no, 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 I get the opportunity to go run 26.2 miles or whatever. And then who knows, maybe you'll have all
Yeah.
those bumper stickers and you'll accumulate thousands of numbers worth of bumper stickers and everything. But like, what does strength look like in your daily life now, decision by decision? Like if I were to follow you around now versus, a couple years before that happened, what does that look like that's different in your life today?
Yeah, I mean, I just remember like when I was sick, just looking at people, not judging them, but just being like, man, you have all of your health in your fingertips and you're just letting it slip away by just being
Mm.
lazy and not living to your full potential. And it was really
Mhm.
frustrating because it's like I can't and I want it, and that person has it and they don't care. So just taking advantage of my health in my life. There's been a lot of bumps and hardships on the road, but the biggest thing I would say that I've learned is just becoming a man and being a dad. The strength is really just, I mean, you guys know it's just getting up every day and dealing with all of the battles that no one knows about. It's like,
Mm.
man, I'm so stressed out about all of these different things and no one has any idea. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
know every other, dad and mom and everyone else is dealing with the same thing, just in different fonts.
Yeah.
But to me, that's the biggest show of strength. Obviously, there's the actual, the deadlifting and bench and the running, all that's really cool. But the true strength is just battling those things that are just that no one else sees and making it through.
All right, Ben, as a fellow busy dad, this is the part I'm most
Yeah.
excited for. You shared some incredible stories so far. I have a baby that's about to be 9 months tomorrow, and then I have a
Oh,
7 year
cool.
old as
Congrats.
well. So thank you, sir. So I'm definitely feeling like that busy dad element the last, I guess, 9 months. It's everything is doubled, everything is much busier. And so you said you got back into coaching recently. I believe it's called Lift and Lead.
Yep.
So I guess first of all, why focus on busy dads specifically? What is it that drew you to wanting to focus on busy dads?
Well, I just saw the main thing is like that's what I am, and that's what I understand. Obviously, I still work with some the moms and females and guys who aren't dads, but I just understand it and I know how hard it is and how time consuming it is and how much of an effort you need to make in order to make it happen. And so I can relate to that and I can coach that and I can help those guys. And a lot of times I've realized is a lot of times those guys are not the ones who want to ask for help, but a
Yeah.
lot of times they're the ones who need the help. So it's been really cool to train a lot of those kind of guys.
Yeah, and most of our audience for the podcast are men, and they are like construction, house builder, plumbing, and stuff like that. So it is people
Men,
who are,
real men.
yeah, and, not teachers who coach girls volleyball, but
Yeah,
it,
those
it is
guys are
like
the worst.
they're always on call. They're working long hours, then trying to like balance time with their family and health and fitness. So like thinking about these men, what do you think that most men get wrong about fitness?
The number one thing I think people get wrong is having an all or nothing mentality. I think
It's
people
good.
like look at someone like me and they're like, I don't have time to be in the gym 6 hours a day and to eat perfectly. And it's like, bro, you don't need to do that. Like you just need to change some eating habits. Don't cut anything out. Just change eating habits, eat some more protein, get some extra steps in. A lot of times those blue collar guys are getting 20,000 steps a day anyway. So it's like, you're good
Yeah.
there. Just get in the gym 2, 3 times a week and start there. And that's it. And eventually you're probably going to want to do more because a lot of times those guys, they get addicted to how great they feel and how much of a difference it makes. So then they start going more and more and more. So it's just, you got to get your foot in the door and stop having this all or nothing mentality. That's where I would say the number one thing is.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. No, because I think a lot of people want to jump in and like you said, they see you and they're like, okay, I'm gonna do whatever I can to get to your level. But then their body tells them like, no, dude, you haven't lifted anything more than your
Yeah.
lunchbox for the past 2 years. Like, let's start slow. Let's go for a walk. Let's go up a flight of stairs or anything like that. So like N I guess not only do you have to kind of circumvent schedules and stuff like that, but then also people that are newer fathers, like same thing with me. My oldest just turned 3, and then I've got the craziest almost 1-year-old, and like whenever I get home, it's like, "Dad, baseball, golf, and then let me
Yeah.
hit you with something and then make you mad and then make you so happy in the same breath and everything too." So then you add in that sort of time commitment. So how have you how have you perfected teaching that balance of like, hey, let's have some realistic goals, but also being the husband, father, leader of your
Yeah.
community within your job and stuff that you have? Like where's your sweet spot of teaching that balance to people so far?
Yeah. So one really cool thing, actually, I, was dabbling and starting to get back into coaching. And this is another reason why I got into Lift and Lead. I didn't even mention, but I had a friend of mine who I coached for a long time and who's a business owner, and he was begging me to coach him, begging me to coach him. Finally, I was like, all right, I'll take you on, and that's it. I'm not coaching anyone else. Like, I'm trying to focus on real estate, okay? Trying to sell houses and make bank, bro. And he finally got me to coach him. And then he was telling me about all these other things that would help him out as far as like other goals, and how just like he likes this accountability. And so I got to talking to him more about how, we can kind of put together a program that kind of extends beyond fitness. So a lot of times what I do with guys is I make other goals that are just as important. Like, did you go on a date night this week? Did
Mm,
you, certain guys, did you clean up the kitchen every night like you said you would, or pick up the living room?
Right.
And put little reminders in their fitness coaching app for those kind of things, just to be an overall better leader, because I believe how you do one thing is how you do everything. So if we can take care of your fitness, let's take care of every other
Mm.
area in your life and just be a better man in general. So a lot of times we'll focus on like a spiritual goal, whatever that may be, a husband or father goal, one of those things, a financial goal or work professional goal, and then, of course, the fitness. But a lot of times with dads too is understanding balance also doesn't really exist that well, as much as people want
Mm.
to admit. Like, you can have some, but you're going to sacrifice other things too. So a lot of times what I tell, like, and it's kind of become popular on social media, and I always post my mornings, but it's like those dad hours, getting up before everyone else, taking care of what you need to take care of. That's when I do my scripture study. I plan out my day, and a lot of times I do cardio or sometimes do my workout just before the house wakes up, unless my kids want to join me. But just making time for what's important, because like you said, at the end of the day, you're going to get sucked in 50 different directions to be the best father and the best husband. So it's important to make time for yourself, carve it out in the morning. That takes sacrifice. I know getting up at 4 a.m. comes early. It's tough. If you're working on yourself, you're going to be so much better off and perform better for everyone else through the rest of the day.
Dude, Ben, you're preaching right now. You were preaching to the choir, because just in the last like 2 months, I started figuring out like, okay, the only way this is going to happen is if I
Yep.
wake up an hour earlier and just make it happen.
Yep.
And that waking up is the hardest part. But once you do it, the rest of the day just feels so much easier. Like, you just wake up, you do something hard as soon as you wake up, and
Yep.
everything
That's
else
it.
feels easier. I think for us, but also for anyone who's listening, what does the program like actually look like? So if someone's interested in coaching with Ben, I guess, how do they sign up? What do they get from you? How does that go?
Yeah. So I have a few different tiers of coaching, but the main thing is like my main premium coaching. That's where we would talk over your goals and your history, medical history, and physical fitness history, excuse me. Based on all of that, with an app, I program your workout, create you a personalized workout program according to your needs, goals, and your equipment available, all those types of things. Cause I have some folks who just work out at home. We can do that too. Do the program. And then it also has, each exercise has a video demonstration of how to do it, cause sometimes people have questions about that. And then you can log your weights and track your progress through that. And then I also have it attached to my Fitness Pal or some type of fitness tracker, so I can oversee your nutrition, because that's a big thing of where to start with someone too, is just start tracking nutrition to understand that a little bit better and be more aware. Because a lot of times people are like, I eat pretty well. And then you start to actually write down everything you eat, and you're like, I eat horribly. I'm terrible. So
Humiliating.
like, where does
yeah, you're
these
like, oh,
Twinkies
I'm
come from?
nowhere close. So it's a really important step. And then based on that, I give them macro targets and give them some different nutrition tips and goals, and even help with some meal planning, and then have them check in once a week with photos and weight and all that type of stuff. And then I make adjustments as we go to avoid any kind of plateaus, and help people reach their goals. And I actually have a 6-week program that's coming up soon. I just put it up on my IG. That's my link there. So it'll be a taste of what that's like.
Oh,
And it's going to
y'all
be
hear that?
awesome.
Yeah, I was gonna
Send
say
this
Alex.
episode to your friends who need
Yeah.
to lose some weight
Yeah.
and get
Yeah.
Yeah, and
jacked.
Alex,
Ben
Tell
is your
'em.
guy.
Alex is DMing
Tell
you
them to
right
call
now.
them out.
No. Yeah. No. I kind of wanted to just backtrack because I think a lot of people within the fitness industry and kind of personal coaching and all that kind of stuff, like I feel like it's just so easy to do that part where, you can track macros in your sleep. I can call you out for your workouts and everything. But like what you were saying about like the best way you found to give people those goals to be a better husband, or hey, are you taking care of other things outside of just tracking what you're putting in your body or how much you're working out or anything like that? Like you do, like you are literally the first person. And like there's thousands of those guys out there, but you are literally the first person that will also focus on making you a better person for your wife or your significant other or whoever else you may be with, and like working on yourself as a person outside of just what you can do in the gym or on bench press or anything like that. So like that, as soon as I heard that, man, like that was absolutely awesome. And the fact that you really like, to me, that shows that you really care. Like, okay, I'm coaching you and that's fine. I'm gonna tell you a bunch of things and I'm gonna run your history and everything. But like, I care about how you are growing as a person as well. And not just how big your biceps are getting or anything like that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, Colin can only get so swole, but I bet he skipped the dishes a couple times. So like that's
Yeah.
like for me, man, like that means a lot. And I feel like a lot of people in your lane should be taking more of an initiative like you are to focus on the whole person, because I think that's where Colin and I get a lot of bad rap within our profession too. Is like anytime you try to be a coach, it's like, well, who's the best coach? Who's got the best scheme? Who can say it the right way? Who can deliver it the right way? Anything like that. Like, well, who's more like Saban? But the fact that you actually show someone that you care about them as a person, like that's what makes you a good coach. That's what people don't understand. Is like
Yep.
you can know everything about macros. That's awesome. I can tell you exactly what to eat. You can post pictures and once a week and all that kind of stuff. And I can hold you as accountable as possible. But if I'm not making you a better person, I'm not a good coach. So like that,
Hmm.
that'll go so much further for however many people sign up with you, and then hopefully after this, it's an extra 9 people because we had a big following. I'm not gonna lie to you, so you may have double digits coming your way, Ben. But no,
Oof, big
I
numbers.
just wanted to make sure I gave you your flowers on that one.
I appreciate that. No, that's good. That's good. And yeah, that was another big part of the new direction I wanted to take and coming back. It's like, yeah, there's thousands of coaches. So it's like, one, how can I differentiate myself? And two, like what's something I actually believe in that will be a benefit to society. And I really think empowering and strengthening and coaching and helping men is that avenue for me.
Yeah, and I think that's super important. We had an author on not too long ago who wrote a book just for like helping men talk about like their life in a spiritual aspect that kind of gets ignored. Like you're expected to be the leader of your house. You're not allowed to have soft moments or have this emotional side because, so many people are relying on you. And if you take it from your perspective of you coach them spiritually as well, of like your body is a gift from God to show others and point them toward him, or my body is the temple of the Holy Spirit and I'm going to take care of it accordingly. We talk a lot about identity on our show. So going from everything that's led us to this point, like today, Ben Lawson, where do you find your identity now in the scheme of things?
I guess I just have seen how much just being in shape has helped me in my life. It's literally saved my life. And so I know there's so many people who suffer unnecessarily, both spiritually and physically. And if I can just be somewhat of a beacon to help them in that path, like that's really inspiring to me. And I've, of course, had a lot of great examples along the way. Like I mentioned earlier, my dad, my mom, some really great leaders in the military. And even after that, even when I was doing real estate, had some awesome leaders too. And so just taking in everything that they've taught me and applying it and just, drawing inspiration from that has been, huge.
For sure. I just, yeah, once again, want to commend you. Like you're doing it the right way. I think my camera cut out. You're doing it the right way. I think a lot of people don't take the time to invest in people when you get into mixing like body goals and dollars. Like, all right, how can I get the most amount of clients to get the most amount of success that I can post? But I think you investing in these men's life is really big. What I want to do now is transition us to how we wrap up most of our episodes. We want to be honoring your time, and we have a little rapid fire question series that we send at the end of every interview.
Okay.
So these are going to be all over the place. They're going to be quick. What's your go-to answer? And then we'll go one by one, and
Okay.
we'll go from there. Are you ready? Let me get
I'm ready.
Stretch
Simply
it
put,
out.
let me
Get
get
some
my back
water.
in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
stretch
yeah.
out.
Yeah. Everybody hydrate, stretch it out a little bit.
Yep.
Let's go through a little.
Take a knee,
So
hydrate.
this one relates. The first one's going to relate to me. What is your favorite workout you hate doing?
My favorite workout, Bulgarian split squats.
What is your go-to dad meal when life is busy?
Probably cheeseburger bowl.
Oh, that's good.
Wait. Okay, I'm sorry. Everybody agreed. They're probably just lying. What is a cheeseburger ball? Sorry, I know it's rapid fire. That sounds
So
awesome.
So what I do is I just get rice, leanest ground beef I can get with cheese, pickles, and then maybe a little bit of like reduced sugar ketchup and mustard and maybe onions. I can eat that for months straight and it's easy to make and meal prep. So that's kind of one of my go-tos for meal
Yeah,
prep.
that is man, that sounds awesome. Yeah, sorry, everybody just kind of agreed, and I was like, "Wait, I can't agree. I don't know what that is." But
Hold up.
yeah, dude, that sounds awesome. Totally.
Yeah, obviously cheeseburger bowl next.
Yeah, that's a predictable answer. What is
Yeah.
one habit that every man should build?
One habit, oh man, gosh, like 5 came to my mind. I mean, I could go cliche and just say work out.
That's
Yeah,
good.
and take care of yourself. That alone, when you respect yourself, is gonna, show up in a lot of other areas. So yeah, I'm gonna go with workout.
Yeah, and don't drink Red Bulls at 9:30 at night. Got it. Cool. All right. So,
He's a beacon of fitness.
most overrated fitness advice.
Most overrated fitness advice. Gosh, like again, like 5 came into my mind. I don't know, cold plunges,
Well, Justin, how do you feel about that one?
cutting
Yeah.
carbs.
Yeah, dude, those things suck, man.
It's like,
yeah.
what?
I've switched. Okay,
Um,
just to defend myself a little bit, I've switched more to sauna. Like I bought one of those pop-up saunas or whatever, and that is just like that's helped out like sleep and everything. But anyway, it's
Yeah,
it
saunas are
sucks,
awesome.
dude.
Don't you
Cold
put
plunge
like
people
I
are
guess
so
little buddy
stupid.
I'll
heater
change
in
it
it?
to I'll change it to cutting carbs. Like that's kind of cliche, or
Yeah.
any trending diet. It's
Yeah.
annoying.
Too many trendy diets.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What is one thing that instantly tells you if a person is disciplined?
If a person is disciplined, usually by the way they look and dressed.
We
That's
probably
awesome.
look undisciplined.
Well, honestly,
This
I was
broke
thinking
me.
like, what am I wearing right now? And I was like, crap, it's the same thing I wore to work.
No, I think, and maybe I'm probably way too into fashion, but in general, if someone is dressed nice, groomed nice, and not necessarily nice, but just put together, in their posture also tells a lot. Then it's like, okay, that person not only everyone just
Yeah, it's just-
this. I think that tells a lot. When someone walks in a room, they have good posture and they're put together. It's usually like, oh, whoa, what's this guy about? It's kind of, yeah.
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 Usually those guys that can like walk in a room and kind of like not really command it, but they walk in, you're like, oh, he's here, or anything like that. Like
Yeah.
aura, as the kids say. Sorry, we spend way too much
That's
time around like
one
16
thing
kids.
my wife says about me is like, she's like, when you walk in, everyone's just kind of like, I don't know, whatever. It's probably because I
Cool.
look
It's
funny.
hey,
Yeah.
with
Us
that
attracted people
mustache,
have that
you can
problem.
command any room.
This mustache, yeah, that's what it is. They're like, what is this pedo doing in here? I'm like, no,
You're
I
like,
swear.
should we call it cops? Should we make this
It's a
big deal?
fashion statement, okay?
I'm a coach, guys. I swear, I'm a coach.
Yeah, but I'm a coach, guys.
If you, man, hopefully you basically just stuck me away from cold plunge for the rest of my life. But are you more of a coffee guy or are you a pre-workout guy? Coffee or pre-workout?
Neither. Energy drink.
Oh, what
too
kind?
many energy drinks
Go
a
to
day.
energy drink. Yeah, no doubt. Go
Grape
to-
C4, grape popsicle C4 all day,
Get
every
the
day.
tingles, huh? So you can get a little bit of the tingles.
In fact, I'm annoyed because my Amazon package of them, my big shipment of them, was supposed to be here today and it wasn't. So
No, you're like out the door, like, hey, Amazon, get it
like,
together.
Hey,
It's
that's
all right.
great.
Like, dude,
I
and you guys
still
get
got a few backup in the fridge, so we're good. I'll be all right.
yeah. You can just run out.
Yeah.
So the last question I want to ask you is not a rapid fire. This is a true signature question that we put at the end of every episode. It helps our listeners. It helps us three. And I think it speaks a lot to the character that we're interested in. So right now in your life, and you can think on this, who are you following, reading, or listening to right now that's encouraging your walk with God?
I mean, it's funny you say that because I'm literally reading the New Testament right now. So it's essentially the original apostles.
Yeah.
Just because they're literally walking with Jesus. And it's interesting to hear the different perspectives and the different gospels and what they thought was important to put in it versus, maybe some details in the others. So I think that's really interesting. Not that that's what you asked me, but yeah, I don't know if I could say the apostles as one.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
That's like a
He's
first
just like,
hand.
he's just like, this
Yeah.
is,
That's
I am the
probably
one
where
that
you wanna
Jesus
go.
loved the most.
The guys who literally walked with Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. That's a pretty
yeah.
good. Well, and I think a lot of people try to branch off so far from that, and so many people are so hesitant to say like, why not go directly to God's word? Like, if I want to know how to be a better person, how to live a
Right.
better life, why not go read from the guy who literally lived a perfect life?
Right.
And so I think people really do think too hard about that. Like, I think that's I think that's the answer that most people should give because it's what they think. And they're like, oh, well, I did just read Atomic Habits and now I can do something for 2.5 minutes. And it's like, well, that's cool.
Yeah.
But like
And now I do
now
cold
you're
plunges.
yeah. But dude, those guys are the worst.
And I run a coffee shop. So
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, everything I've learned is that my life is a complete failure right now. But no, dude,
If you had a
Ben,
coach like Ben, you'd be in a better
yeah,
spot.
I was about to say maybe I need to look at that 6-month thing and then I'll just start firing
Yeah,
my
yeah.
life. But no, man, like we once again we try to be super respectful of your time. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for sharing your story. Like that was incredible. I just like once again, I think I've told the past 4 or 5 guests this, but every time we have someone on that goes through something, like I just get reminded, I'm like, why didn't I work out today? Like, why can't I battle through something difficult? Because is my life really that difficult? And I think whenever we have people on that have that type of perspective, I think it just gives strength to so many people. So I know that the conversation we had today affected so many people. So if you've listened this far, which I know you have, just make sure you like, subscribe. We'll share everything about it, like all your websites, any of that information. I would love to watch that documentary. So if there's any way you could kind of like sneak us like a sneak peek or anything like that, dude, I would love to watch that. Like your story makes everybody around you stronger, and I 100% like everything in your life. I was like, oh, that makes sense why you then went that way, and kind of I fully believe God has strengthened you your whole life, and then now where you are is the culmination of like exactly where God needs you to be, and more importantly, how He's equipped you through all that stuff right there. Now, when you fall asleep for 3 days, you don't really see the writing on the wall, but I think now God has you
Mhm.
exactly where you're supposed to be, and He's equipped you exactly with what you're supposed to have. So thanks for coming on. Thanks for sharing your story, man. We really appreciate having that opportunity. Like I was once again, we were learning who you were as soon as you came on. I didn't really know anything about you, didn't have any connections. Once again, Instagram had an awesome suggestion, and we really appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you so much.
yeah, dude.
Thank
And
you, Ben.
so
Wow, how about it just being an
Yeah, he's
Instagram
cool.
suggestion? I was so nervous, but he like replied immediately and was like sending all this stuff. Then I went to his page and I was like, that's just it's like have we ever had like a fitness coach on? Am I
Mm-mm.
crazy for thinking that we haven't? Okay,
I mean, I'm here every week, but that's about as close as we can
yeah,
do.
you are.
All you
Yeah,
coaching
and
is
then he just basically dismantled everything that I do to keep myself in shape.
Correct.
He's like,
Wrong,
yeah,
wrong,
these
wrong.
guys are stupid.
Listen, we appreciate you as always for listening. Thank
We're
you for
here.
listening to Good Times Bad Friends, and it helps us out a lot. Go ahead and drop a comment. What part of this
Dude.
episode stood out the most to you? Ben's a genius. He knows what he's doing. If anything stuck out or you have questions, post them below and we'll get in contact with Ben, or
We'll
just
ask
say
him.
that you loved the episode. That works too. But thank you for listening. We're out. Good time.
Called our guest the wrong name.
Did it.
Good times, bad friends.